Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, like most He-Man fans, I've been waiting for something about the new He-Man series. There's two, both from Netflix. One is like a CGI kid-orientated series, toy series basically, and the other one is supposed to be a true-to-life continuation of the original series from the 80s. Now, we got a couple of images, and I didn't get too excited because I thought this must just be like the start. We're going to get more soon. Then nothing really came. I'm like, I should have commented on that then, but I didn't really look at it because I sort of thought it's not enough. I need more. There was one image of He-Man and Battle Cat from, it was a promo image from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and then I'll get into that later, secondary, I guess. The more interesting image was we actually got the cover of the Dark Horse Masters of the Universe Revelation comic, the prequel comic basically. There's the 4-part prequel comic, and we have which is supposed to be from the show. So this is what the characters are supposed to look like. Now, I'm a little cynical because I've seen many prequel and promotional stuff that doesn't relate to the actual show or movie on the level that it's reporting to be. You sort of view it, you watch it, you read it, and then you go into the movie and you realise that really had very little to do with that and really was just there, to be sold as a prequel and as merchandising. It really had nothing to do with the story or the character. It didn't actually reflect things. Just a million different times I've been burned like that. So I didn't look at it too seriously, but I'm having a look at it now, and it does seem to be true to the original characters. Their costumes are not exactly the same, but they're pretty close. And I mean, my God, these people are allowed to change their clothes, every, TV show. So the fact Teela isn't wearing the exact same costume and she's got less cleavage, that's fine. The fact that Evil Lynn, I can't remember, what colour was she in the series? Was she yellow just like the figure? I can't even remember. But they pretty much look accurate, but that's all we get. Basically, if you haven't seen it, it's basically Skeletor in the background, He-Man holding up the sword, the power sword with the power of Grayskull flowing from it, and Teela and Evil Lynn on either side of He-Man. So it's just the four of them, and that's really all. We see a couple of, I think that, ships in the background. He's, He-Man standing on like a rocky sort of desert sort of landscape, and that's really it. And it just says the official prequel to the upcoming Netflix animated series. So it's done by Kevin Smith, Rob David, Tim Sheridan, Mindy Lee, Rico Renzi, and Deron Bennett. Don't know any of those people except for Kevin Smith. And we don't know much about it. We just have that image. We have another variation cover, which is absolutely woeful. It is awful. It's just ugly. The art is bad. He-Man looks like some grizzled old, beaten down. It's like looking at Sylvester Stallone, like now, and comparing him to old Rocky. It's like, what happened? It's supposed to be exact continuation. It's just one of those things where they just take a lot of artistic license for the sake of it, possibly because it's an alternative cover. So obviously they don't want to look just like the other one, but when you look at that, you think, he better not look like that. But I doubt it. But yeah, so we're not getting much. And I was hoping for more. I sort of thought that's not enough to really do a video about and talk about either of them. So I didn't say anything. And then it's like, well, this is all we got. And I'm starting to look at it and think about it and starting to read into it. Because we still have the whole rumour that the series is all about Teela and not He-Man. And it's all going to be about her, and she's a lesbian, and she's got a girlfriend, and it's just all about their story, discovering the power of Grayskull, and it's going to undermine He-Man. That's the sort of one gossip story. The other gossip story, the other story is just that it is a true continuation of the series, and Teela was very involved in the original series, so why wouldn't she be involved in this series? But there is that sort of concern that the series is going to be stereotypically woke, and let me just be clear when I say woke. Woke started as a good thing, and then it got turned into a bad thing. Just like SJW is a bad thing technically, but that doesn't mean the people who believe in all those ideals, diversity, representation, are bad and they're all SJWs. No, they're just like an extreme little group that have sort of latched onto had this this title put on them, which they kind of earned by being extreme. And the concern is that those people are the ones who control the series, whereas other people are, of course, saying no, it's being done properly and it's going to be true to the original. And we don't know yet because we haven't seen it. And there's a bunch of people who are scared it's going to be woke, and other people who actually believe it's going to be faithful to the original because of Kevin Smith, who cries at everything. I'm not sure. I think it's perfectly possible for Teela to have a big part in the series and not, overpower He-Man and have it be basically subverting him and it's all about her. I think that's quite possible. But I also think it's quite possible they might do that because a lot of shows have gone in that direction because people in charge have had specific agendas, and it actually usually ends up hurting their cause more than anything else, because they alienate people rather than embracing people and engaging people. So I am concerned about it. And the second you raise any concerns, you get put into the hater basket, and you get told that you're a racist and homophobic and you're sexist because you don't want women in a TV series or something. I'm like, I watched the original series. Teela and the Sorcerer were like two of the most important characters. What are you talking about? So there is that conflict, and until we see the series we won't know which way it's going to go, because Princess of Power, the She-Ra one for God, who did that? I forgot the name of the company. Either way, it went a bit too far in some directions. Some of the designs, some of the things, and it was very, very far away from the original show. And it was very much a kid's show, which a lot of people didn't like, because the original show wasn't really a kid's show. I mean, it was made for children, but it wasn't a kid's show. So it kind of had some issues, but it wasn't as bad as people were saying. People were acting like it was the worst thing ever written, and it was the wokest thing ever written. And it really wasn't. It had a couple of issues, which are annoying. But aside from that, the main issue was the publicity. They were, to build themselves up, they were putting the original He-Man down and their creators and all that, which was a bit not the best way to engage your fan base. But the show itself, I only watched the first season. It was fine. I'm like, okay, it's definitely for kids. It's definitely going, in this direction. But it's not as bad as, it's not the sacrilege and horror that people are saying it was. So I don't know where the series is going to go. I don't know where Revelations is going to go. I'm afraid it's going to go the way of She-Ra. I still can't remember the name of the company who did it. I can almost see their logo in my head. I can almost see the font, but I can't get the name. I remember it the second I end this video. But yeah, so this is all we've got to go on. I do actually like the cover art, I should say, for the Revelation cover. I think it looks great. And the only difference is their costumes are a little bit different. And I'm like, well, the people, they would change their clothes. They wouldn't wear the same thing all the time. It's like, why wouldn't they have a slight variation here and there? That doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So I'm really not bothered visually from what I've seen. So far as the CGI animated cartoon one, if that's what the cartoon looks like, it looks pretty bad. He-Man is disproportionate. His sword is giant. It looks like the sword from the 2002 series. It looks mechanical in nature. It doesn't look like a sword that has powers, like magical powers. It just looks like a mechanism, and it looks pretty woeful. And Battlecast armor, it looks bad. But it's a kids show made for kids to sell toys. It's not for me. I don't care. But so long as Revelations is, and that's why they've done the two. They are trying to cater to both the new market that they want to create, which is very temporary. They get kids for a year or two, then they lose interest. They go to the next thing. These shows only last a year or so. Then something like He-Man, that is a legacy series, and they can do this series. They could do it for a long time. They could get a big. But no, I'm hearing they're only doing 10 episodes. Split into 2 seasons, so that's 5 episodes a season. The original series, I think we got 62 episodes a season. Now, I wasn't expecting that, but I was expecting 20, like a normal 20 season run for a season of a show, and maybe multiple seasons, assuming the first season did well and everyone loved it. Why not keep going on? The legacy, the character, the legend, the fan base has been going on for decades. Why don't they think they could have a show go more than 10 episodes and 2 seasons? And it looks like they just did that to spread it over 2 seasons. It looks like they just did one story, 1 season, and split it. It doesn't look like, obviously, they're planning to do 2 seasons. So there are a lot of things that are freaking me out and worrying me. Some things are encouraging me, and we don't know. And it's just this horrible waiting game. We've been waiting for over a year to get something on this. I'm going to go, because I didn't want to do this video before, because it's like there isn't enough. All there is speculation and worry. So I'm going to go and come back when there's some actual revelations about the show. So feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.